Goo goo gaga. Please like and subscribe.
I shouldn't have to ask if you have kids on dating apps. Hello all. I started talking to a really cool guy on Hinge. We seem to have a lot in common. Nowhere on his profile did he mention kids. When he was going over his general life info, he didn't mention kids. I found him on social media and he has 3 kids. 3. I asked him about it and he was like, "Oh yeah. Those are mine." Dude. That should have been the first thing you told me. Update, I unmatched him. It sucks, but I want someone honest and upfront and child-free.
He really should have that info on his profile. He might attract people who love kids that don't want to birth their own. And it will help all child-free folks to not waste their time.
The way I see it, single parents deserve someone who's happy to have their kids in the picture. Or at worst, they deserve someone who's neutral about it. And the reasonable single parents are aware of this. They see it as anyone who doesn't want kids is a deal breaker anyway, since they have theirs. The single parents are happy they're getting people who are okay with their kids, the child-free people are happy that the single parents aren't trying to match with them. Everyone's happy. The problem is that the reasonable ones don't hide their kids in the first place, so nobody is wasting much of their time on either end. Then you get people like the many stories posted here of deadbeats and all the, "you'll surely love my kids once you get to know me" mindset. And those people were unreasonable to begin with, so of course they then get mad at us as if we're the unreasonable ones. It's incredibly dumb and exhausting. That's happened to me a couple times. The worst one was dating a guy who didn't tell me for 6 months. Even they know people don't want to date them if they have kids. So they hide the kids. But they can't hide them in social media because they don't want to seem like bad parents for the ones who shall not be mentioned. But you are a bad parent once you start hiding them from your dating profile. Don't get pissed at us for not wanting to date you, get pissed at yourself for your decisions. Now you see kids don't bring you happiness and peace. Hiding them does, but you can't hide from your own kids. Maybe he was hoping for the, "if she meets me first and falls in love with me, surely she'll love my kids too" approach. We know better. It doesn't work. I had this happen once. I told the guy I was A. weirded out by him not mentioning this in a number of conversations we had about our personal lives. And B. I am not interested in dating a man with kids. He then told me they were teenagers so they wouldn't be too much of a hassle. Dude, seriously. You're just going to bring that into your kids' lives.
Why don't they understand that we don't want to date liars? They wouldn't appreciate the duplicity. But subject us to it. You know, being a colossal liar is a major red flag. Right?
OkCupid made it easy to filter out people with kids. But that is dependent on them actually being upfront about it. Good luck in the dating scene. You're totally right.
It's always women who have kids that like me. They are pretty and have a great profile, but no. I can't.
This just happens all the time. He should just give them away if he doesn't want them. Like they're an effing afterthought. I can imagine what sort of a parent he is. We really need licenses to do what shall not be named. He probably hoped that you'd be so smitten with his manly charms, that by the time you found out about the truth, you'd have to choose between his rugrats and a broken heart. He's a sneaky rugrat bastard, in other words.
I don't understand why people do that, unless they aren't looking for anything serious. But if you want a committed relationship, wouldn't you want someone who'd love your kids too? It's such a waste of time for everyone.
Damn OP. It is a good thing that you snooped. I hate people who aren't upfront. You dodged a bullet. Oh my God. Those are two of the main questions you're supposed to fill out for your profile. Along with sexuality, religious beliefs, gender identity and substance usage. If people don't have them filled out, or if it says open to or wants children, I don't match with them. I can't fathom lying like that because it will come out at some point. Why not control your own narrative from the start by being honest, to ensure you match with people who are cool with kids?
I don't understand what's the point of lying on a dating profile. The whole point is to find someone you're compatible with, and want to spend your life with. Lying about yourself actively works against that.
But you will change your mind when you meet the kids. Right? 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 Seriously, it seems the first question to ask as soon as the match is logged is, tell me honestly, do you have kids?
They know it's a deal breaker for a lot of people, so they hide their kids until you become too attached to leave. I saw a comment on another subreddit where a mom said she won't date guys with kids because single dads have too much drama with their kid's mother. But she wants a guy with no kids to deal with her ex's drama.
Good choice that you unmatched him OP, I would totally do the same. If he is not upfront and honest from the very beginning, imagine later on. Was he hoping to lure you into play nanny or something? Yeah, if he'll lie by omission on something that big, he'll do it for all kinds of things. I guess the first question when you start messaging back and forth with a guy is, do you have kids? And I'm child-free and just want to make sure you are, too. People with kids are wildly entitled and have the attitude of, yeah, but my kids shouldn't be a deal breaker. And then they will gaslight you trying to make you out to be the bad guy. Some people hold it back because they want to impress you enough to where you won't mind once you find out. It's deceptive as F.
I had the same. I was chatting with a lady who seemed really nice. We eventually FaceTimed after talking for a few weeks, and we arranged to meet up. She goes, it'll have to be a day where the kids can go to their dad's house. Effing pardon me. There was no mention of it in the prior conversation. Or on her profile.
I really don't understand people. The very first thing on my profile is that I'm child-free. And kids are a deal breaker, no matter what age. Parents have messaged me to convince me why their kid is cool. So I should date them, the parent. Or they tell me that I'm wrong about being child-free. I don't get it. Why do you think a relationship like that is a good idea?
So many times I've had women drop the, oh I have 1 or 2 kids. Is that okay? Before we meet up. No it is not. Bye. Goo goo gaga.
Frustrating brewery experience. Hi all. I normally don't post on much at all, but tonight I had a really frustrating experience with some friends when we went to a brewery tonight. It's been a really long week. It's been couple of weeks, really. So I invited a few friends to grab a beer after work at a local brewery. This place does serve food, but it's more of a space to have a drink or two. We showed up around 6 p.m. and stayed until about 8 p.m., and we would have stayed later, but the place was swarming with kids. Kids were running up and down the aisles, several with no shoes on. They were screaming at the top of their lungs, and coughing on everything. My friends and I literally could not hold a conversation because we couldn't hear one another. We had to leave because parents just let their kids run wild in public spaces. Spaces that used to be meant for adults. We didn't go to Chuck-E. Cheese for a beer, we went to a brewery. If you want to take your kids somewhere, bring them to one of the hundreds of places actually meant for kids. It's so frustrating how every place seems to be overrun with kids whose parents simply aren't watching them. At this point I won't be surprised when I start seeing toddlers brought to bars because mommy and daddy want a whiskey coke. Sorry for the rant.
Goo goo gaga.
Dog jumps on me to say hello, owner is very apologetic, kid throws stones at me, she's just a kid. I'm an avid hiker. The joys of being child-free is getting to swan off to the nearby mountain range and go walk on the trails in peace and not have to plan it around fermented cream. Along my trails I usually meet dog walkers and their dogs. I am very much an animal person, particularly big, energetic dogs like German Shepherd dogs and Huskies. A collie in one of the fields I passed through bolted up to me and I didn't even care that it was covered in mud when it jumped on me. I smiled, said hello and gave it head pats. In hindsight I probably shouldn't have so as not to confuse the dog. The owner ran after it and told it off for jumping up. She told the dog to get down and apologized to me. I said it's okay, I love dogs, petted the dog, chatted with the walker some more and then continued on my walk. I got to the top of the hill I was walking up, was super nice and peaceful until this couple and their squawking kids came up. As the parents were ordering food from the hilltop coffee shop, their daughter, must have been about 3 or 4, picked up some stones and started throwing them at my legs with a face like slapped butt. I don't talk much, generally, and I wasn't going to ruin the lovely hike by attracting the ire of Karen and Ken by telling their kid to F off. I also had some thick socks and tough gaiters on so the stones honestly didn't hurt. So I just opted to continue eating my lunch and not give the kid any attention. Neither parent was paying attention until they got their coffee. I must have looked really effing annoyed at them when they turned around to see their kid throwing stones at me, because they apologized, I'll give them that, then felt the need to add she's just a kid, she doesn't know what she's doing. So when a dog does something completely harmless and friendly, but perhaps not hygienic and polite, the dog, which cannot understand English, and genuinely does not know what it's doing is wrong, is disciplined. But when a kid who does at that time have at least a small grasp of right and wrong, and the English language, does something openly and unambiguously malignant, she's just a kid and doesn't understand. It does not compute. I don't ever want to be a parent for fear of being that. Entitled, I guess.
Quote. She doesn't know what she is doing. End quote. Exactly, that's why it's your job to teach her what she can and cannot do. There is a title for such kind of jobs. Checks notes. It's called being a parent. Okay. Now a toddler of that age 100% knows what they're doing. That kid is just a cake hole. Parents should have at least disciplined it. I don't hate kids. Definitely not fond, but don't hate them. I do hate entitled parents. So effing much. You did well to stay calm, I would have yelled at the parents. Dogs are better than children all day. Honestly, I'm a cake hole and I would have asked them, does she have a severe learning disability that prevents her from learning not to hurt other people? Because otherwise you are just making excuses not to parent her. She looks old enough to understand. I love it. That's when the parents have to step up and tell them we don't go around throwing rocks at people, it hurts them and it's wrong, and apologize, adding that she doesn't know what she is doing just teaches her to play dumb when she hurts someone. Quote. She's just a kid, she doesn't know what she's doing. End quote. Yeah, but she's throwing effing rocks and could hurt someone or someone's dog. I'm so over parents refusing to do anything about their child's shifty behavior and brushing it off with they're just a kid, they don't know any better. It's your job to teach them to know better. They keep on using that excuse and keep letting their kid act like a cake hole, they're gonna successfully raise an adult cake hole.
I used to get that all the time. When former friends' kids would talk shiz to me right in front of the parents, it was deemed okay. They were teenagers, and the parents would say crap like, they don't know any better, or they're not gonna listen anyway when I'd point out the behavior. They'd brush me off by saying I don't have kids. I'd end their careers by saying, I don't have a pilot's license either, but when I see a plane crash I know someone effed up. If your fermented cream, I love that phrase, isn't properly trained, that's your own fault. Your entire job after popping that body wrecker out is to make sure it properly humans.
I love the cycle. They don't know better. So I'm not going to explain the situation to them and why it's not appropriate. So they're not going to know better next time either. And I'm not going to explain why the situation isn't appropriate or discipline them then either. Etc., etc., etc. That's just a teaching moment. Teach the kid you're annoyed by its actions using the most colorful language you can.
That's when the parent is supposed to step in and say, "Hey kid, we don't throw rocks at other people." This reminds me of one time when I was at an MLB game and for several rows in front of us, the aisle seat was empty. But I was in the aisle seat in my row. Some obnoxious kid was climbing over every seat for rows and rows. Then he got to the row in front of me, looked at me and I said, "You can't climb up here," and his parents made a face like I was in the wrong. Also, my mother-in-law loves to make excuses for her grandkid by saying that's just what kids do when he does shiz like ride a bike in the house or poke their dog with grabbers. The kid is almost 6, he's plenty old enough to understand that you don't do those things if any adults in his life would bother to parent him. We live 300 miles away and see him 1 or 2 times per year at most. I don't even feel bad when my dog barks at him for being a little asshole and makes him cry anymore.
Please like and subscribe.